Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Fahey. Joining me, the most unrepentantly handsome man ever of all time, Mr. Aaron Joseph Pita.
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, but...
I wish they knew.
Nor what they look upon. They don't understand it.
Gaze not upon me, for you...
I am a straight guy.
STR8, question mark?
Whoa.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
Also, unbelievably good-looking human being, Mr. Matt Brousseau. Hello,
Age,
Matt.
sex, location. Remember those days?
ASLP?
Mm-hmm. What's the P stand for?
Pick?
What's PIC stand for?
Picture?
Oh, I see. Okay.
I didn't make it to that.
No, I never got there.
Really?
No, I didn't get to that. Also joining us, the Godfather of Profiles in Eccentricity, the man who told me that my writing sucked, but my talking was good. My best friend in the world, Mr. Joe Lachut, a beautiful man himself.
Hello.
How are you?
Awesome. It's really good to be here, and it's overwhelming to see all the beauty in the room.
Damn.
Yeah, see, we're not making it up.
No.
Now, my wonderful friend, beautiful woman, Joe Lachut's wife, surprised him with tickets to Los Angeles to come see me, hang out.
Try it out.
Try it out. Jessie got a try it out tattoo on her hand.
Are you kidding me?
She did. I didn't tell you that?
No, it was in the.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
You got to read
she
the
got
text.
try it out tattooed like right here. It's amazing.
No one should. What?
Yeah, I put it in the group text, but your fucking phone's all wacky.
Dude, I have an iPhone X, excuse me?
But anyway, Jessie, thank you so much. I love you and I miss you, and it was incredibly sweet of you
That's great.
to give you that gift for Joe's birthday, which is today.
Wow.
Happy birthday to Joe.
I'm 36 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
Or young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joe's going to be doing a little bit of something, but first I want to tell you, last week we were off the air, but we did provide our Patreon subscribers with an episode that we had a ball with.
It's one to write home about?
Yes. Matt brought some incredible letters from the Civil War era of a very erotic nature. Some very, very crude, very fun.
Oh.
And our friend Laura Crawford also was sharing some spy stories from the KGB era, 1984, 85. Very, very interesting, very fun. And also I shared a song/poem. It was a great old time.
Yeah.
So please get involved in the Patreon. We will always be providing them because they're paying us to live a little bit and helping out with the show and providing us the ability to get new shirts made with really, really dumb shit on them. So yeah, please get involved with the Patreon. Joe, you got a little magazine when we were traveling around Burbank at the Bearded Lady.
Yeah, the Bearded Lady. We went and saw a cool VHS art show there, which was excellent. It was like all the good stuff from 80s,
70s.
Yeah, in the
90s.
olden days of like going to the video store with your parents and but they cut out all the filler. All the shit that was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
that might look good, but man, even the cover art doesn't get you. They cut out all that, and it was like super well curated and really good.
Yeah, and just the experience of going to the video store back in the day was like when you're a little kid, especially going down the horror aisle. I mean, I remember being a little kid and because of Ghoulies being really afraid to take a shit.
Yeah.
It was really, I don't think people knew how much damage that Ghoulies cover did because...
Dude, my bathroom was way down in the back of the house in like the dark-ass kitchen.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying.
That chud...
Right.
Chud and the stuff.
Yeah.
Also had a very can I live in the dark after this?
Yeah.
Type of video cover.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because you both watched Mandy.
Yes.
And Cosmos Panatos. Is that in Panatos?
Panis. His father was Cosmos.
That's right.
Yes.
See, I was testing you. His previous movie, Beyond the Black Rainbow, is it was very much inspired by just VHS cover art.
Yeah. He would walk up and down the Video Addict was the store he would go to when he was a kid and he wasn't allowed to rent the video, so he would imagine what they were about, you know, and I was the same way.
Yeah.
Some of the movies had incredible cover art, and then you would see them years later when you were old enough to rent them, and you're like, this sucks. And then the ones with shitty cover art were good. Like, Dawn of the Dead was just like a guy getting out of bed, and you're like, this movie probably sucks.
Right.
And then you see it and you're like, oh, it's incredible, you know?
They blew all the budget on the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But then you would see other shit like, you know, I don't know, like Funhouse.
Right.
And you're like, oh, this is terrifying clown murder shit. And you're like, this movie fucking sucks.
Yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Exactly.
Killer cover. Horrible movie.
Yes. Yeah.
I recommend the Instagram account Retro Release Video.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of really cool they'll do new movies in the old style.
Right,
Or old movies, like especially.
And they were kind of doing that at the Slashback Video thing at the Bearded Lady. They were doing like kind of just imagined movies, like imagined sequels and stuff like that. It was really, really cool.
What is this place?
It's Bearded Lady just sells like weird shit.
Like medical oddities, like old poison bottles.
They had a lot of antique chop spoons. And
that's great.
Yeah, a lot of those old books that you could get that were like Mysteries of the Unexplained and like all that type of shit. So any like weird supernatural stuff, serial killer stuff, all that type of shit. But they're also that place that like put together that Shining thing where you could go in and it's a recreation of the bathroom scene where he's coming through. They do a lot of really cool shit down there. And L.A. Meekly, the podcast that our friends
Shout
do,
out.
yeah, they've done a lot of stuff in tandem with the Bearded Lady. It's one of the coolest things in the valley.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to the Bearded Lady. I'll be visiting you soon.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go.
John doesn't take me in either. Joe, very nice, Joe, for you.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in years.
Well, you haven't been there in hours, technically. I haven't been there in years. 33 of them.
But Joe got a magazine there for $2 dirty old bucks.
$2.
Whoa, wow.
$2?
And it was clearly laden with profile material.
Yeah, and it was kind of just like, all right, let's see what's up with this. And yeah, I looked at it today, and there is a crazy story I'm going to tell you guys about the Collier brothers, or Collier, how most people say it, but some people say Collier.
What do you say?
I would say Collier.
Yeah.
Nice.
But, you know, I used to live in Collier County.
In Florida.
So that's kind of like,
No, it's
I'm
good.
biased.
You know, in Kentucky, there's a Versailles Street. So, you know, that's just...
Well, so these guys, I have to, first I got to give a shout out to Jamie, John's beautiful girlfriend who helped do some research with us. I told her the story and she's like, well, let's see if there's any like other bullshit on TV.
Yeah.
So we looked up some stuff on YouTube and found some good stuff. So yeah, these guys, this story has they're hoarders. They are eccentrics and they're brothers and they're weirdos. Really, really weirdos. Okay, so this was I guess early 1900s. There's Homer and there's Langley. So Homer and Langley. There you go.
You were named after the Odyssey, and you're just some fucking guy.
Yeah.
So their parents, Herman Livingston Collier, was a gynecologist at Bellevue Hospital. Yeah, and it was kind of before Bellevue got famous, but it was, it's still Bellevue, and this guy was a total weirdo.
Back when it was cool,
Yeah. He
Probably it's a prestige.
he used to he was an eccentric by everyone's accounts, a nice guy, but he used to canoe to work. I don't really know how that works.
I don't
This was in
either.
New York, so he was
His speculum in a waterproof bag.
I guess so. So he decided to marry his first cousin,
Of course.
who was a woman named Susie, which is a very pretty name. That's my mother's name.
Hey.
And
This is New York.
yes, this is New York. This is Harlem is where they end up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, she was an opera singer. I didn't find anything else about her. The stories we watched and this semi-exploitative magazine didn't really say anything about that.
Right.
But so the dad and the mom, they were socialites and whatever, and they kind of got along. They kind of didn't, and then all of a sudden the dad moves out, and they didn't get a divorce, but the dad moves out and moves into a new house, and that's not explained at all. But so before he moves out, he moves him into a 4-story brownstone in Harlem, and this is when all upper class white people live in Harlem.
Right.
Yeah. So in 1919, about 10 years after they move in, Herman decides to split, and he is, like I said, I want to know more about that. I don't know where I could find that out. But he splits. I don't know if he has another family on the side or what, but he still sees his family daily. He just doesn't live there.
Weird.
So Herman's the dad. He moved him into a new house and then moved out of that house.
Yeah, yeah. He was there for a bit, a couple years, but maybe 5 years. But,
Did mom have any occupation?
She was an opera singer.
She was,
that's just right.
not Susie.
Yeah. So let's see. That's weird. The kids are pretty weird too. They had a sister that didn't make it past infancy, and they are like super. They're normal, but they're mama's boys. Right. They're after their dad moves out, they kind of like take the side of the mom, and they live there until she dies, only like a few years later. Then stuff starts getting weird. So they're hanging out for like about another 4 years. And Homer is I really didn't give you the background on them, but Homer is he's like a concert pianist,
Right.
but everyone kind of says like, oh, this guy's kind of full of shit. He said he went to Columbia, but there's no record of it.
Right.
He ends up blind from a stroke he had. He had hemorrhages behind the eyes, whatever the hell that means.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Hemorrhages behind the eyes.
Yeah, that's all everybody said, and they said the exact same thing, so it must have been quoted from like the same story, or the same source.
Isn't that just the brain?
Yeah, I guess.
My behind the eye area is hemorrhaging.
That's just a doctor in like 1920 being like, oh, you're blind, huh? Well, there's got to be something behind the eyes.
That would make sense because they really distrusted doctors.
Oh, okay.
So I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, but so the brother Langley, he was like a child prodigy. He graduated from Columbia at 20.
I'm getting a real Royal Tenenbaums vibe.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
Okay.
And they have money to just keep going, like after the mom dies?
Yeah, they have a lot of money. Well, because
He's got all that sick pussy money. As a gynecologist in Harlem.
Right.
Langley is a lawyer, like a successful lawyer. And he's like a tinkerer. He's kind of like, he's always got bullshit around.
Yeah.
The dad, when he died, they got all his stuff, and he ends up, which I guess from his other house. And he brings, they take apart a Model T and bring it in, and he's gonna like tinker with it and put it back together, which is stupid.
Yeah.
You're gonna take apart a car
and bring it in the house.
That's super methy.
To get it working.
Yeah.
Super methy.
Yeah. To take it back out. How are you gonna get it out of the house?
Right. Well, you got to tinker with it.
Didn't they do that in Animal House? they brought a bug into the dean's office in Animal House. Was that Animal House? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, they brought a horse into the dean's office, which it was
technically
a car.
It's a carriageless horse.
Old timey Model T.
They had a car in a cake.
Right.
in the float
Oh,
there.
that's correct.
But I think you could just you just work on an engine in a room. You're like, we can't use that room. That's the engine room.
Right. Yeah.
And then at like 2 a.m, there's a guy revving an engine in your apartment building.
Right. Yeah.
So they're on a lot of meth. They're taking apart a car. They're putting it back together.
Langley's a successful lawyer, but Homer is kind of a liar, fuck up.
Yeah, he's a fuck up, but they're by all accounts, by all accounts, they are cool. They socialize. They leave the house regularly.
Oh, good.
Even though he's blind and shit?
No, he's not blind yet.
Okay.
I got a little ahead of myself.
Got it.
But so then, in those 4 years, he goes blind from a stroke. Homer goes blind. And Langley quits his job and decides to take care of his brother full time. Mm-hmm. They have a bunch of money from both estates, I guess, and they have the house, which is not paid off, but I don't know. I mean, we'll get to that. They don't care. They don't care about bills.
Right.
Bills are for other people.
Right.
We pay people for that.
Yeah.
So Langley is taking care of his brother, and then he has rheumatism, which causes him to be paralyzed.
Langley?
No, not Langley. Homer. Yeah, so Homer gets the double whammy.
Oh, he's afflicted with
He's blind,
everything.
and then he's paralyzed.
Right.
Jesus. What?
Yeah.
Can he smell?
He can smell. He can talk.
He can smell the oil
It
from the
smells
engine.
like shit in here. Wish I could know what's going on.
I can smell the burning behind my eyes.
Good thing I can't feel anything.
I knew a kid that put a couple of acid tabs in his eyes.
What?
Yeah, he put a couple of tabs of acid in his eyes.
Like gel tabs?
No, well, it was paper.
Oh, yeah.
And then he blinked them, and then they were gone. And I was like, hey, man, those are just in your head now. Like those are just floating around somewhere in your body, sort of. And I admire your, you know what I mean?
Hardcore.
Yeah. But also that can't be any good.
I mean, it'll dissolve.
It'll dissolve, but
it's
a bad place to dissolve a piece of paper.
Yeah, you should put that up your butt.
Yeah, and I think it was maybe not just one time.
Is he done it with the veracity of his season
I really always thought about this square floating between the back of his eyes and his brain.
That was extreme. That was like the kids in my high school that were like, I've been taking acid for a long time.
Yeah.
You've taken acid, but have you ever taken it behind your eyes?
Yeah.
Well, that's maybe why this guy had hemorrhages behind his eye.
Yeah. Wish his acid would be crazier. Doesn't need to be.
No.
It's pretty much, it's called acid.
It does a good job.
All right, so in this 4 years, the economy takes a shit. It is...
This is 1928 or something?
Yeah, just about, yeah. It's,
I think it's called the Great Shit.
Yep, the Great Shitty Depression. And, like, all the whites move out of Harlem.
Right.
Everything is left abandoned.
Yeah.
And then all the blacks move in.
Right.
Homer and Langley are not down with that.
Really?
They are...
You said they were cool.
I don't know. And I didn't say they were cool.
No, nothing has led you to believe these guys are cool at all.
Yeah, they said they were cool. They went out and socialized.
Yeah,
But
with
not
the
other
like,
whites.
the other people that are like loaded.
Well, one of them's blind and paralyzed. He doesn't really care what color they are, right?
Yeah, and the other one's a lawyer.
And a tinker too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they...
Hey guys, check out this brownstone. It's got a car in it.
Yeah, so that is all happening, like, with all the ailments of Homer. So Langley's like, all right, I'm just going to take care of you. And he's like, since, like our father was a doctor, so we know about medicine. They just kind of assumed they knew about medicine.
It's in our genes.
And they had a lot of books in the house. So that was their like, we have 2,500 books. 2,500 medical books in the house. So,
Right.
And one of us can read.
Yeah, a lot of good that does one of them.
Yeah.
so he decides he's going to bring his brother's movement and his sight back by diet and rest.
Diet and rest.
And rest.
Yeah.
Not exercise.
Not exercise, and they didn't have any room to exercise. These guys, like I mentioned before, were hoarders.
Right.
And this is hoarding, like
Is this the beginning of the hoarding?
this is the beginning, and it's getting out of hand quick.
And so
Right.
where did they move to?
They didn't move.
They didn't move. They stayed in a
they
4-story
stayed in.
brownstone.
Oh, so they weren't down with the white flight. Or they
Or the black inn.
Or
They weren't down with the black hat, but they were like,
but they still stayed around.
yeah, they stayed in the same place.
they weren't into the white departure or the black arrival. Yeah.
Black Arrival, great movie.
But also they weren't going anywhere.
Right.
They weren't leaving. They were just like, this sucks.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
got it,
complained.
got
I'm
it.
not going to move these 12 car doors out of
Man,
here.
I wish I was blind like you right now. You wouldn't believe what's happening in the neighborhood.
Yeah, your paralysis is really going to help with the rest part of this treatment.
Good thing.
You're paralyzed. You need rest for this.
You must be so relaxed.
So this diet was fucking crazy. It was like nutrient-rich black bread and up to 100 oranges a week.
Ooh, wow, you got to pound those.
That nutrient-rich black bread.
Yeah, and I guess that's like crazy shit. That was like, I guess sometimes they'd make beer out of like similar things.
Right.
And that was when beer was nutritious.
German
Right.
bread.
Yeah, Guinness is good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were like, they had a ton of money, but they were super thrifty, super weird.
Yeah.
They would like travel super far to get like the really cheap bread. Like
Right.
it's not
Yeah.
this ratio isn't working out. Like you're putting way
Pennywise,
too much
pound
work in.
foolish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were just like, they didn't trust doctors. They thought that if they brought Homer to a doctor, that they would sever his optical nerves, which I don't know. I guess that doctors used to do that all the time. They would just cut. They'd be like, so.
Yeah, I mean, kind of fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
back then there was some wacky ass shit going down.
Sure.
Yeah, and they said with the paralysis, they like, no, he would just give you drugs to help you die faster.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
mean, if guys don't work, you're just hoarding them at that point.
Yeah, true,
Which
true.
they love to do.
Yeah, these things will be back.
I'm going to use these one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna put these Model Ts back together.
Don't touch my eyes, Doc. I swear to God, one of these days.
Yeah, I used to be a lawyer, but now I peel 15 oranges a day.
Yeah, Jesus, 100 a week.
Yeah, because I mean, Homer must have been like, "Wow, another orange."
It feels like an orange.
Well, he'd feed him other stuff too, but that was like the majority of it.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it is something to be like, I'm paralyzed, and now, I mean, I guess he was on board with the diet.
Oh yeah, they were together, man. They loved each other. They were it was like them against everyone.
Right. We got these books. We got these oranges. We're gonna get you back.
Yeah.
And
Training montage.
Right. Yeah.
Just peeling oranges.
Traveling to get black bread.
Yeah.
Hey, this bread doesn't taste black. Shut up, it is.
Just a fucking Rocky theme.
Getting weirder.
So so that is happening. like the whole neighborhood is kind of going nuts because they're like, all right, these white guys, like we don't really see them. And they're fucking weird, and like all these rumors started. They say like, oh, there's tons of money. They built money into the house. They fucking, they're hiding it. They're whatever. So people start to break in, and this is like the hoarding is getting out of control now. So they have like, he has all these newspapers because he said when Homer wants to see again,
He'll want to catch up.
want to catch up.
Of
Exactly.
course. Brilliant.
Yeah, and like during this time, he is all this is kind of happening at the same time. I don't know the exact timeline.
All right,
but-
start with that pile over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, the stock market. I forgot to tell you. Yeah. Crap! It took a shit. Great shit.
Wait till you see this neighborhood.
Things
So-
have changed.
When we're seeing that, Jamie's saying today, she's like, why didn't he just read him the newspapers daily? That would have killed some good time.
Well, he's got to peel all those oranges.
Yeah, I guess.
You choose, brother. I quit my job. You want me to read to you
You
too?
want me to read and peel?
All right, I'll peel the oranges. You go get the bread.
I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
So the shit gets out of hand. They're getting more and more paranoid, and they're like, we just don't want to be bothered. All this is bothering us, and we don't want to be bothered. So Langley starts going out only after midnight. And like just picking through trash and bringing home shit home. I don't know how he's getting all this shit home. I don't know, maybe he's got like a cart or something. But he's bringing like big shit home. Like in
If only he had a car.
My car's all.
My car's in the house.
It's under the December issues of the New York Times.
So to keep these burglars out, and to also because they were just paranoid maniacs. And Langley was such a tinkerer, he'd make all these booby traps. Like he'd have like anything from like tin cans to like let them know if like somebody's in the house and they can hear it.
Home Alone.
Home Alone style.
Yeah, it was straight up Home Alone, like Wet Bandit, like keeping them out.
Whoa.
And then he'd also have like he had tripwires buried in the mountains of like old newspapers and trash and like baby carriages and just any bullshit.
Yeah, when they try and steal this baby carriage, oh boy, they got another thing
Well, that's
coming.
also what I'm thinking about the fucking burglars. They must be like, have you found anything worthwhile in there? Because it seems like a bunch of shit. Like, why would you even keep breaking in? You know?
There's a door handle from a Model T.
Yeah. When I moved those 4 years of the New York Times, there might be something under there.
Well, that was the thing. So they would like, if you're looking through shit or you get hit with one of these tripwires, all the garbage would fall on you and would trap you.
Now they're hoarding humans.
Die.
So this is
They would call the cops, I guess. But
like
yeah.
the Winchester House of Trash.
Yeah. It was like an accidental H.H. Holmes of, shit. But they'd be like, oh, yeah, I forgot I made that trap. There's probably a guy who's got some dude's bones.
Oh, wow, new shoes.
Hey, don't move that dead body. I'm going to need that one day. No.
Man, when you can see, wait till you see this guy.
Yeah. I wish he was still alive to peel oranges. I'm sorry.
He used to be black.
So going back to the Model T, they stopped paying bills. They stopped opening their mail. They stopped answering the phone. And they said,
Jesus.
it was like, we stopped opening our mail. We stopped answering the phones. You can't imagine how free we feel.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Amongst our shit.
Yeah, and he said, where some saw suffocation, we saw freedom.
Wow.
What?
Wow. Yeah, I bet that's kind of probably how the Grey Gardens people felt too. Like, thank God we're out of all that bullshit with society.
Yeah.
We can just
All of
hang
that
tough.
outdoors and socializing nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Stockholm syndrome, though, isn't
Yeah,
it? Or they're just
kind of.
like,
Justifying.
I gotta make this has to be good, otherwise we're in trouble.
Well, I think I'm probably too, like, people like growing up in some sort of privilege. It's like, you live in kind of a dream world and you want to stay in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and they have each other, and that's,
And they're reinforcing the dream
comfortable.
world for each other.
Yeah.
You know?
They lived in nests. That's what everyone kept calling like the areas they lived in because there was so much shit accumulated that they lived in nests. There was like a little, oh, dude. They showed a bunch of pictures. You can see pictures on the internet.
It's just an orange.
Langley, come to the edge of your nest. I have an idea.
I don't know.
101 oranges.
But so shit's not going good. I mean, like, they owe money on the house, and like, the city's not happy with them. They get like wrote up in the news every once in a while. Like somebody will come poking around and be like, "Yo, what's up?" And Langley's super protective of Homer. Like no one's seen Homer in years.
Yeah, and then vice versa.
Yeah, yeah.
That's lovely.
So in 1939, the gas company comes in and they remove the meters that haven't been used since 1928. And they didn't have gas. They didn't have electricity.
Well, they had a bunch of paper to burn.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. They used like a kerosene stove to cook up their meals and stuff.
Yeah.
And he, I guess Langley said to one of the reporters that was came poking around, they were like, "Yeah, I used to read like the classics to my brother, but then my eyes went bad and I couldn't read them anymore." It's like because you're reading in the darkness, like you're not having any light. There's no light because you didn't pay your bill.
Right.
And it's not like they don't have money. They have money to pay the bill. So in 1942,
Can't find the bill.
No,
They don't have their mail.
It's probably lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 1942,
It's supposed to drop on some guy's head if he brings it in.
Have you seen the December heating bill? Yeah. It gave Lamar a concussion.
Yeah, cracked that guy's skull.
So the bank comes calling. The bank wants the house, and they bring in like a crew of people to go in and repo everything and kick them out, and they can't get through because there's trash blocking the doors, blocking all the windows.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're the real deal. But he fucking. So, like, Langley's like, all right, he's yelling at him, and he's being, like, curmudgeon-y or whatever.
You'll never get through it!
You'll never take my doors.
And so he then he's like, all right, fine, you want your money? He writes him a check for $6,700, which, like, in today's money would be, like, $210,000.
Jesus.
And he pays off the whole mortgage. It's, like, done. He's like, this is mine now, go away.
Could have done that years ago.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so these guys have money, so it's not like something is going on. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, we're thrifty. It's
Yeah,
like, no, we don't have any
They're
money.
fucking codependent agoraphobes.
Yeah, but also, I mean, they turned really hard on the socialite aspect, didn't they?
Yeah.
They don't even want to talk about necessary business with anyone.
No.
Do you think they were sucking each other's cocks?
I don't know, because they found in the stuff they found a bunch of like pinup girl stuff, and because that's what I didn't even think of that because the story's so asexual, except
Right.
you know,
Except for the pinup girl stuff.
Yeah, and I was like,
They all had holes in them.
gross.
All right, hey Homer, I know you're blind and can't feel anything. I'm just gonna fuck your mouth for a little bit while I look at this pinup girl.
No, I thought you were gonna go another way and be like, so Homer, this chick, right? She's got it all.
Check it out, yeah. She's got big boobs.
The cans.
Feel these oranges. They're just like that. Oh, you can't.
Yeah,
You're numb.
feel these oranges.
Taste them. That's about all you can do. Smell them.
Okay, now sniff them.
And where's he getting all these oranges now that he's stuck in there?
The dumpster,
I don't know,
man.
the fucking
They ate trash
midnight
and-
market.
For your diet, I got you some old oranges.
So one time there was a fire in the house, and he Langley reluctantly lets. Some people say it's a police officer, so I don't know. The accounts vary, but we'll call it a fire because that's a better story. The fireman comes in and he reluctantly lets him see his brother Homer, and the guy's like, that guy's dead. This is fucked up. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm not dead. He's like, my name is Homer. I'm a lawyer, which he wasn't.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want your badge number. I'm reporting this and whatever. And they reported it. And
I'm not dead.
Never a good sign.
I'm not dead, and also you're in trouble.
Yeah.
for saying as much. Like the guy in the bed in Seven. I'm not dead. How dare you?
You got what you deserve.
Give me a badge number,
Sir.
I'm a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer.
You look like you're not practicing. Jesus.
Justice is blind.
Yeah, true.
So anyways, this shit goes on for like a decade.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They're
And
definitely sucking each other's peckers.
there's got to be some kind of relief.
I mean, Aaron,
And they live close to each other. The nests are like close.
you can fuck all kinds of things.
Oranges, bread.
Oranges.
Well, I mean, the paralyzed guy probably isn't going to get a hell of a
Right,
lot
that's
of...
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's also not going to put up a fight.
You're really adamant about this.
I think he'd probably sue if he knew anything was going on. Finally, it sounds like you're in my nest.
I can't see or feel you fucking me, but I got a sneaking suspicion.
Yeah, I can smell your pheromones.
Because they're mine. Smell yourself.
So all this shit keeps going on. And then all of a sudden in March 21st, 1947, they get like a random call from a really generic name, something like Christopher Smith or something like that. And they said, I think there is a smell coming from this house. This is a dead body. That's what they think is going on. And they think it might be Langley. Because there was there's all this speculation of like maybe he was taking a train out of town. He was going to just ditch his brother, which I don't believe because that doesn't seem like he would do that.
Okay, so wait, let me get this straight. Let me just so a random person,
Anonymous tip,
anonymous op-ed calls who?
The police.
Calls the police
Yes.
and says, "Hey, there's a smell coming from this."
Yeah, we think it's a dead body.
Harlem brownstone.
Yeah.
Got it. Jesus.
And so the police bust in, and they're like, they can't get in the first floor because they have to take a battering ram to the door, and it's blocked up like tight with bullshit, with newspapers and.
How are we gonna get through all this paper?
Yeah.
No, but it's so thick that they can't get into it. So and then they end up taking I think a second or third floor. They break out the windows, which are it's a bitch to get into those too. Like this house is packed floor to ceiling.
It's a fortress. They're masterminds.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And they get in. They got to deal with all the booby traps,
right?
Which has got to be pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
This is
was anybody killed by the booby traps?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. I mean, people trying to go in at this time.
No.
Okay.
It was just a nuisance.
None of these police were defeated by the paper mache caltrops.
The garbage booby traps.
Yes.
You said.
the wheel of the Model T comes swinging at them.
It's a bag of orange rinds.
I believe you, but my Model T don't.
So they're going in.
Yeah,
the booby traps are going off. They're trying to get to the smell.
They're trying to find anything. And they're going through all these little passages and finding because Langley would he would make like fake junk walls. So he would know to move this thing and to fuck everybody up. So it took him a long time to find essentially the dead body, which was Homer.
Right.
They found Homer. He was in his chair because he doesn't move. And he was dead.
He's not dead. No.
The autopsy
my
said
brother.
he was dead probably about 10 hours.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's it?
Which wouldn't lead to the smell.
So
Right.
Langley called it in.
Well, let's see.
Oh.
Langley must not have called it in because he, on his way to feed his brother, fell into one of the booby traps. He got...
Matt, that is the most evil you've ever been on the show. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is. I'm glad you enjoy that. What was do you know what the booby trap was?
It was the piles of shit falls on top of you and you either suffocate or you can't move because they're so heavy. And that's what happens. He dies. It took them
That.
It was 3 weeks to move all this shit out and find the second body.
Oh my god!
And he was less than 10 feet away from his brother Homer.
And it took how many weeks?
3 weeks to move all the shit out and find the second body, which was
So they're oh man, Homer's been dead for 10 hours. That can't be the smell. How did he die? Starvation?
Yeah, starvation.
Because
or
his brother
dehydration.
died
Yeah.
on his way to feed him.
Langley, oranges.
Langley?
Langley?
Well,
Coming right up. Slam.
they said they must have communicated because
Yeah,
they were so
probably.
close. So his brother, who's paralyzed and blind, is basically just sitting
underneath
there
the heating bills saying,
I'm so hungry. I'm cold.
saying, I can't help you. You have to die there.
right.
So they think Langley was dead for 20 days to a month.
Oh
And,
my God.
There were packs of cats and rats in the house, running through all the shit, and his body was ravaged by rats, rat bites and stuff.
Oh my God.
Which one?
Langley. Yeah, because they found Homer before the rats could get to him. It was only 10 hours.
Right. Well, the rats wouldn't fuck with Homer because he's a lawyer.
Yeah, he went to Columbia.
They don't eat their own.
He was invoking certain laws to them. You can't
Are you a dead body? Are you a rat trying to eat the dead body?
Oh, I heard these guys represent us, Don. Let them go.
Pro bono.
But wow, yeah,
that is incredible.
That's really good. That is really good.
I love Just Desserts.
Was there any big aftermath shit that
No,
happened?
I mean, it was. You can see the pictures on the internet if you search it. There's there's people there is a fucking gaggle of people outside this house watching. Wow. You know, watch as like
what was the smell?
The smell was the dead bodies. It was
the first dead body.
Langley.
It was Langley. Yeah.
Langley.
Yeah.
Car started right up though, I bet. Wouldn't it be funny if the car started up?
He tried to make it a generator, but it was
they drove it out.
Yeah.
There was 120 tons of trash.
What?
Jesus!
In this 4-story house. They were
120.
They would do it floor by floor, and they would he'd be like, all right, we break out the windows, and we would just chuck stuff out. And then people would clear it away on the bottom.
Oh, man. Yeah, imagine you just stand on the street and someone just throws shit out, and you're like, oh my God, a toaster.
Yeah. The fucking landfill in Staten Island was like, when's this gonna end?
Yeah.
Oh, you better put this on a barge.
Jesus. These guys are good.
Yeah.
They fit all the shit in there. Yeah. I think it's funny that he made false junk walls. You think this is your everyday run-of-the-mill wall of junk. It's actually a secret door to more junk.
Yeah, exactly.
You idiot.
So, but that means that Homer he must have been able to eat something.
No,
so he starved for 2 weeks?
Yeah, you can go without food for a very, very long time.
Shit.
You die of dehydration within 7 days.
Whoa, how long was Langley dead, you said?
I think they said 20 days to
20 days. Yeah. So, the hunger strikers were 60 days.
Yeah, you can go very long without food.
Right, but how do you drink? With
I bet you he could piss his own mouth.
Every theory you have about this. Langley was jerking him off, right?
Sucking his own cock.
Now, was he paralyzed legs down or hands or?
No, the whole body.
What the fuck? So he was just eating rats that came and climbed into his mouth.
Yeah, suicidal rats.
He's like, oh, man, I hope this rat has to piss.
I am parched.
Are you a rat that needs a mouth to sit in?
Come to me. I didn't go to Columbia, bro.
Joe, that's incredible.
Yeah,
this is really, really good stuff.
That is such a great story.
People tried to make martyrs out of them and say they
Martyrs.
they didn't like society. I don't think it was any of that bullshit. They just were weird.
That's the thing. But that's the thing that comes up a lot on this show too. Is that a lot of the eccentrics, people kind of lionize after because people are just like, man, they did their own thing. You know what I mean? And I'm guilty of doing that too, where I'm like, you got to give them credit. They fucking walked the walk, baby. And
this guy really paralyzed the paralyzed.
Well, it was just it's like one of those things where it's like, man, they did it that Sinatra way.
Yeah. No, they lived their truth. It's not a good one.
They followed their bliss.
No, they died miserably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, according to their writings, no.
I guess not.
Total freedom.
Yeah, no, they died as a hoarder.
They lived in total freedom, died in probably the worst way to.
But also, if you take the hoard away from the hoarder, is that prison to them? You know what I mean?
But I mean, he was killed. They were killed by the thing that they had invested. That's how a hoarder is supposed to die, slowly crushed to death by their abundance of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they died doing what they loved.
Being paralyzed and hoarding.
Hoarding, yes.
The things they love the most killed them.
My kingdom for a horse, or a Model T, or whatever.
I will store the horse in my apartment with the rats and cats.
Well, fellas, Joe, you're going to be familiar with a lot of this, some of this stuff.
Joe, that was great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That was really really great.
The Harlem Hoarders are no match for the Long Island Lowlifes.
No,
I'll tell you that.
this is on New York episode.
What's the Long Island
yeah.
Lowlifes, John?
Well, I'll tell you, they both come very near and dear to my heart because they were both stories enveloping around me during childhood.
And you yourself are a Long Islander?
I am a Long Island
and a
boy.
lowlife?
And a Lowlife Deluxe.
Not at all. Not at all. I am of the highest order.
High gravity life.
Yes, I live a high gravity truth. In 1992, there was a sensational case in Long Island. A girl, not even a month older than me, 9 years old, went missing. 1992, at the brand new arcade that opened up, that all of us kids were just enamored with. It was a little place called Spaceplex. And when you went into Spaceplex, you went through this like laser light thing and a whole bunch of fog machines, and you went into this world of endless arcade games, and it was all indoor, and it was bumper cars, and it was like, those crazy like web things you would climb up, and just all kinds of rides, all kinds of games, and then there's like, your shit pizza place. And every kid had their birthday party there, myself very much included. And in 1992, there was a story of a girl that went missing there, a girl named Katie Beers, right? And she went there with a family friend, kind of an uncle type, and she came up missing. And suddenly, it was like all of his kids were like, fuck, man. It was one of those stories that got to all the parents. It was like, fuck, you can't take, hide your kids. You know what I mean? And and we were, Spaceplex's business just like dropped through the roof. Nobody was going to Spaceplex because this little girl, our age, went missing. I was in, I believe, fourth grade. About 9 years old. That sounds about right, right? And this girl went missing, and they questioned the family friend or whatever, and it was just, he was like, I took her to Spaceplex. It was her birthday coming up in 2 days, and she went missing. And everybody in Long Island was enamored with the story of this little girl, Katie Beers, that went missing, and then they started digging. And they found that
physically?
No. They started digging in the news into the family and shit like that. And neighbors were coming out and they were like, when she was a baby, there was roaches in the crib and shit like that. And they start raking the parents through the coals. And everybody's thinking like, this is like a fucking shithole family. Fuck these people. Meanwhile, their daughter's missing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they're getting chat on.
And they're getting chat on. And it was like, everybody was following this story, like, and they kept questioning this family friend type about what happened and
They have
stuff
a
like
Model
that.
T in their house.
Yeah.
Rich people's folks never go missing, Charles Lindbergh.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And they would search this guy's house. His name was John Esposito, the family friend guy that was kind of like an uncle type, and they would never come up with anything, and they're raking the family through the coals more and more in Newsday, which was like a big Long Island paper at the time, and then they even had a New York version called New York Newsday. So like this paper was like massive, and it was just, everybody was just like, where is this poor little girl? It's one of those stories that just gets in your bones. And like to me, it was like, I was like, this is a classmate age girl. She's right in my neighborhood. She goes to Spaceplex like me. It was like, it really was like, what the fuck is going on? And the cops would keep searching this guy's house, and they would never move this gigantically heavy safe in the guy's garage.
Well, it's so big and heavy.
Yeah, because
and that's a safe.
Yeah, right. And that's what happens when you call the cops. They show up and shrug their shoulders. Yeah, it's not here, right? So like the millionth time, these cops go and search the house. They finally move this safe, and there is a 200-pound trap door. Right. And
200 pounds?
200 pounds.
The door is that heavy?
The door is that heavy.
Behind the safe?
Underneath the safe.
Fuck.
Right? And they go down, and there is Katie Beers watching TV after 17 days. And there's like, she's chained to like a mattress, and there's like a ventilated bunker that he built for her years ago. And years ago. And
specifically for her?
He's told detectives when he confessed that he built it for her. And John Esposito had been convicted or got in trouble for grabbing a kid at the mall like years before, so that's why he was always a prime suspect. Meanwhile, the mother is just
Could have
like
been a senator.
The mother is just like, she's an alcoholic in the papers and stuff like that.
Right.
And they were a bad family. They were like a white trashy family on Long Island.
Yeah, but I wonder why she's an alcoholic. Maybe it's
Right. Well,
fucks.
but also, this is your family friend.
Yeah,
this guy that
yeah.
grabbed a kid in the mall.
Yeah.
Like you suck
Yeah.
as a parent. Let's be real. Like I did feel bad for them because they did have nothing to do for it, and the media was kind of heavily implying that they had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But also they weren't taking very good care of their
it's
kid.
it's very gone, baby, gone.
And so he was sentenced to 15 to life in 1994, I believe, is when the trial all shook out.
So he just was he.
Well, that was the thing, is that later on in years to come, there was a Law and Order in season 4 based on this.
Right.
And they flipped it where it was a girl kidnapping a boy. And
thank God.
and the idea was that it was a family friend trying to save the child from the shitty family.
Right.
Which was kind of the line he was going for. But of course, he was physically abusing her. And she, in 2013, finally wrote a book. Like, she disappeared from public life, came back into public life, wrote this book, and was talking about, here's all my shitty home life, and then 17 days of agony. And, like, when the cops were coming down the shaft to, like, find the bunker, she thought it was him bringing other people to abuse her.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, and this guy was sentenced to 15 to life, had to serve it in Sing Sing, which I don't know if you guys have heard lately about how, like, Sing Sing has been uncovered as, like, one of the worst prisons ever. Like, people, like, were finding out, like, oh, it's fucking raw in there.
And they chain you up, make you watch TV, they bring people in to beat you. 200-pound doors and everything.
A bad prison usually has a name like Sing Sing.
Yeah,
It's never like Jimmy's Correction Facility. It's always like a...
But this is one of the cases where afterwards it seems like authorities realized, like, this girl has been really through it all, and they got her in a very good foster family afterward.
Oh, okay. That's
And she wrote a book finally when she came out, you know, like in like her 30s, and she called it Buried Memories, and wrote about all of her stuff, but talked about her positive experiences with the foster family and how all these glowing things to say about them. And now she's married in Long Island. When she came out with the book, she did like The View, she did everything. When she was found, the principal came into my classroom to tell the kids.
Oh my
like, that's
God.
that's how big a deal this was in Long Island.
Wait,
Because
what did he say to you?
he was just like, they found Katie Beers and she's alive and safe.
Oh,
and
okay.
like,
We're all going to go play laser tag.
but yeah, let's go back to Spaceplex. By the way, these are coupons for Spaceplex, and they're sponsoring the school. And please check them out if you like bumper cars. But yeah, it was a really, really, really intense story at the time, and it was nobody expects to find a child alive in this story.
And after 17 days?
Yes, and
Oof, Maron.
a couple of short years later, 1994, there was a guy who was sitting in a restaurant and eating with his wife at the North Shore restaurant, and he was shot in the heart through the window. And just, it was unexplained, and that was that.
C'est la vie.
And nobody knew what was going on, and a couple of days later, there's a guy at an Amoco gas station in Long Island. This is all extremely close to my house. And he is narrowly missed by a bullet from a high-powered Remington rifle, and they realized Long Island has a sniper on their
We've got
hands.
ourselves a sniper, folks. Set up a perimeter.
So at this time, my father had a restaurant in Long Island, and there was a couple of things that they were saying. They were like, this guy, he uses places that are at the crossroads of several highways, and he's randomly shooting anybody. It doesn't matter. These are not targets. These are random attacks. And my dad was telling me, he's like, our place would be a great place for this guy to attack. There's a bunch of like crossroads here. I was like, oh, that's great. You're in the kitchen. And I'm out here busting tables, you know? And,
John, let me know if a bullet comes in.
you know, and
What was the name of the restaurant?
my dad's restaurant was called Dublin Delights. It was an Irish place. And this is all around Comac, Stony Brook. This is like, minutes away from my house. This is all very, very close. And this guy was, shooting people with something on the edge of his car door that stabilized his rifle. Mm-hmm. And just random victims 200 yards away. And at the height of the fever in Long Island over this case, there was 200 uniformed officers out looking for this guy to prevent a fourth attack. At that point, there was 100 detectives on the case. There was 4,100 interviews conducted with any potential witnesses. After the second attack, this guy, he was later found, his name was Peter Sylvester, he was 24 years old. He was burglarizing houses. He had burglarized the Farmingville taxidermy where he stole the rifles, the guns. And there was a burglary after the second Amico shooting where he burglarized houses, and there was he raped a 15-year-old girl at the same time. And then
At the same time.
Well, you know what I mean? He was burglarizing, going through his house, and he finds this 15-year-old girl. And
Jack of all trades.
yeah, so he kills this guy sitting in a booth with his wife. I mean, I just can't imagine sitting randomly in a booth, eating dinner with your husband, and then suddenly he's shot in the heart dead in front of you.
You should never imagine that, because then you'll never be able to do anything again.
Right, exactly. But I mean, like, this is the same thing too. Is that, like, you know, the fury that I remember over the Katie Beers case was this thing about, you know, shitty parenting and you know, what they're selling, the stories they're selling are you're not safe. You're not safe. Your kids aren't safe, and people are terrible parents. And this story was none of us are safe, and this guy's running the show.
It's the perfect news story.
You know, and you have to find out everything that's happening every day. These stories don't go away, and of course, it's completely mirrored in more ways than one with the DC sniper case. I mean, the DC sniper case people forget, but that was immediately after 9/11, and that was when anthrax letters were going in the mail. And then this guy starts shooting people, and they were telling us we're fighting a war on terror and we could win. And it's like, you guys don't even have control of DC. We're not going to win this. There's no winning this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like winning a war against the weather. Like, these things are totally random acts of chaos.
Yeah.
And to act like you can win it is
right, and you know, it's not easy. Like David Berkowitz is like, you know, he was shooting random girls, but they were brunettes, so it's like you could dye your hair. This guy, you know, which my mother dyed her hair because of David Berkowitz. She went blonde and never went back.
Wow.
Because of the Son of Sam. She was like, well, this is an easy out to getting murdered.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? Why didn't everybody do it?
I think with all of this shit, it's like, what's the thing that connects them all? It's just men going insane.
Yes.
And so, like, for a lot of women, they're like, yeah, we know.
Right.
Everywhere I go, I think about these things.
Yes, of course, yeah. But I always thought that too. I was like, these girls that weren't dyeing their hair blonde, how about them, huh?
Yeah. I mean, did you see what they were wearing?
You know, like, I mean, you must really hate blonde hair or any other color for that matter. So. Yeah, the Amico gas station, and then there's the burglaries, and the day after the robberies, this Peter Sylvester commits. He goes to the Nesconset Highway, and he shoots a girl cleaning tables at a Burger King. Again, just a random girl.
Burger King.
Yeah, at a fucking Burger King, and it was just that. It was just near highways. My car can take off. Random. Does it have windows? Does it have big windows? And that's, again, he's like, my dad is like, this place has huge windows. And I was like, again, you're in the kitchen.
Dad, please.
You know? But this time there was a car spotted leaving. He would get back in his Firebird and he would take off. And with these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews they did, then they were like, okay, so we
He was in a Firebird?
He was in a Firebird doing this shit.
Firebird.
He was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
He probably looked so dope driving away.
Yeah.
And he was, this girl was
Peeling
cleaning
out,
tables. She
smoking.
didn't die. She didn't die.
probably wish she did.
She was
went to Burger King.
horribly, you know, just disabled after.
Busting tables, somebody fucking shoot.
So then they're just going into weapon stuff, and this Peter Sylvester has weapon stuff in his past. Nothing like really that violent, but he has like weapons charges against him, and he's on parole. And they start kind of focusing on him because they have tons of potential suspects.
Okay, so this is when they haven't nailed it down. But
They haven't nailed it down, but they're narrowing it down.
The detectives are narrowing
The detectives are going, who's into weapons?
Okay,
who are troublemakers we've had before? Like John Esposito, the Katie Beers kidnapper, he had grabbed a kid before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, you're kind of narrowing it down based on...
Usual suspects.
Yeah, the usual suspects. And
who bought a 200-pound door recently?
right. Yeah. Well, this guy, or years ago, but this guy, the one guy is he had some shit go down where some guy is being a maniac. He gets sent to a psychiatric hospital, and cops find these guns, and they're like, "Who sold you these guns?" And he's like, "Peter Sylvester." And so then they start looking into him more, and they look into the other guns around that were stolen from the taxidermy, and they're like, we think this Remington rifle stolen from the taxidermy is the gun. Let's talk to the previous owner. So they get the previous owner of the rifle, and he's like, I went here and I shot this tree a long time ago, and he brings detectives there, and the shit matches.
They ballistic the tree like Batman?
Yes.
That's good detective work.
Yeah, it really was. And then they were like, okay, and then they raided it, and then he told them where the gun was in the Nisconset house of his mother. Nisconset was right next to my town in St. James, Long Island. It turns out years later that he went to trial, and he admitted that the intended target was the enemy of a topless dancer. The topless dancer was involved with some other guy, and there was another girl on the scene, and she wanted that girl dead. And this guy, obviously to curry favor with the stripper, was like, "Oh, I'll kill her, but I'll do it in the midst of a random bunch of killings."
Brilliant.
Which is amazing because that is what they suspect that the 2002 DC sniper was doing, that he was eventually going to kill his ex-wife. That was the idea.
He didn't start with the ex-wife?
No. The idea is lead up to it. And they think that's what the DC sniper was going to do. But like the Long Island sniper, he got caught up in the cat and mouse game and the power trip that, comes from...
I'm in control now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I talked about me and Joe when we were in a band together, like, I talked about it in this song that we wrote. It was just like, this guy was told, you're a shithead, but now he was like the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
In our world,
shitheads are important.
For that amount of time, the Long Island sniper was running the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, shitheads are running the show.
Yeah, and so, years later, the DC sniper case, people forget that went on and on and on.
Oh, yeah.
And we were terrified about terrorism. We were terrified about anthrax letters.
Yeah.
And we were really terrified because, there's not really a lot of more bombs going off, but suddenly you could be shot in South Carolina. Yeah. Suddenly you could be shot in Maryland. Like, the scope of the DC snipers was what was really like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, the minute you think you're safe, guess what? You're not. It's not the DC sniper. It's the East Coast sniper. And it went on and on and on.
Big scope.
And so the New York Post turns to the Long Island sniper in the midst of the DC
They go back to him?
They go back to him in prison.
No way!
And they're like
Hannibal Lecter.
100%, dude. 100%. And they're like, give us a window into this guy's mind. And I don't know if the cops did it too, but they went to the Long Island sniper, and I just found this out today because I've always loved this case. I've always talked about this case. I've told you about it, Joe, a million times. But I just found out today that they went to the Long Island sniper in prison.
That's fucking...
And he is on about almost everything. Like, except for the DC sniper's age, he's like getting everything right. Like,
what?
As far as motive and stuff, he's like, excuse me, let me see here. He's going, sorry.
I mean, it makes sense. You could go back to that. That's very Lecter. Why not go back to that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
There's no harm.
Catch Me If You Can. He's in...
Mindhunters. Mindhunter does the same thing.
So,
do you love Mindhunters?
Yeah. So he says to the Post that the FBI hasn't spoken to him for insight. So the Post is coming to him for insight. FBI is not.
Oh, but now
amazingly.
But now he's part of the. He can be secret. He's like, I'm with them. I can't say anything.
Right.
I'm a big man.
At this point, the sniper hadn't killed again, and the sniper's telling him, he's like, he will shoot again. He's like, he might lay low for a while, but he's gonna shoot again. He won't stop even if they get close to him because for him it's a challenge. Because that's the way he felt.
Especially sniping.
Yeah, he's like, if he changes his weapon and he's the type that's feeding off the media, then the cops may not attribute a new shooting to him, and it seems he wants to take the credit. And he says, playing with the cops by sometimes dropping clues because, like, there was a tarot card found at, like, one of them.
What?
Yeah, shit like that. He says, you have guys that want to go out and beat the police. Because the Long Island sniper was like that, too. He says, he wants to be a mystical guy who appears and then mysteriously vanishes. Here I am. I'm important. I'm mystical.
He left a tarot card there?
Yeah, or somebody could have found a tarot card and attributed it to him at the time. Because this is written during the time of the thing. So he says, people at the time were still hypothesizing it was Al-Qaeda. He throws that out the window right away. He goes, Not their style. They want to go big, and no one is taking responsibility for this.
Right.
And he's 100% right, of course.
Yeah.
Everything he says. He said incorrectly also, not just the age. He thought he was between 20 and 30. He also thought he was a white man. That was incorrect.
Well, you know, statistically.
Right. Statistically, of course.
He's just putting the numbers there. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But the guy was a young guy, wasn't he?
Well, he had a young guy with him.
Yes, the driver was a young guy.
Yeah,
He was
41.
He was what? He was shooting out of the trunk.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
Of a Buick or something.
Yeah, big old car. They took the back seat out, right?
Yeah, and then they would stay at the crime scene, which was the thing that would blew my mind when they finally caught them. Was finding out that like everybody's swirling around trying to find out, and these guys just laid low in the parking lot and never moved.
Damn.
I mean, not escaping was their escape.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Spike Lee.
It was really what
Inside man.
Exactly. That was what blew my mind about the case. Is just stay there.
Yeah.
Just don't leave. The hoopla is going to die down eventually. You know, and people were talking about white vans and all that. It was no. Remember all that shit they were saying? The van.
yeah.
There was
There's
no
a purple
van.
Cadillac. Or
Yeah. And they took the hole was the keyhole for the trunk.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Oh, God. He also says the Beltway psychopath is probably watching news reports of his crime. He says, he was surprised when he was watching in Long Island, he would watch all the reports of his cases, and he was surprised how many inaccuracies there were. Yeah. So it emboldened him to continue going. He's like, every time they get something wrong,
shit, nobody found my tarot card.
Right.
He's like, every time they get something wrong, they'll be laughing to themselves. And they'll be like, yeah, these guys, they're never going to catch me.
Right. Well, that's why if you're in the news, you just go, someone was killed, they think it may be related, and then you don't go through all the grisly details.
Right.
Yeah,
You
like-
can also get copycats.
Yeah.
Right.
Bad ones.
Some news report he was saying was like using high-tech equipment, they determined where the shot was from in Long Island. And he's like, they were like 200 feet off. They were completely wrong about where the shot was fired from. And he's like, he's going to be having a good chuckle that he's getting this, that they're all getting this and that wrong. And he's like, he just says at the end, basically, cut it out. When it's done and over, no matter what the outcome, it's something you're going to regret. He's like, you fuck up at your job, you get fired. He's like, when you get caught doing this, you're spending the rest of your life in prison. And it's like, I think it's already too late, pal. Like, cut it out. Like,
quit it.
Yeah.
I just saw a plane flying by. The banner said, quit it. I guess,
Yeah. Well, I read the Post, and the Long Island sniper says it's not really a good deal. So
ran out of
I'm going to
tarot
hang up my DC fucking Spurs and call it a day.
I'll just snipe buffalo in Montana, I guess.
But yeah, I don't think it was ever conclusively proven that he was definitely going for the ex-wife, but for a lot of people there was speculation.
yeah.
There was custody stuff going on.
Well, you probably read the New York guy's thing.
I don't. The New York,
man,
the-
I should come in.
that New York guy doesn't have like a Wikipedia page or anything. Like it wasn't that huge a case outside of. I mean, he might have remembered it from the news.
I mean, if you're a snipey type of guy, you're probably pretty familiar with the snipey guys.
Yeah,
elite club.
But it is just such a. It's like in Long Island at the time they were talking about like we just don't understand because this isn't mob hits, this isn't serial killer. Mm-hmm. There's no. Ted Bundy, the victim looks like my ex. There's no thing. It's just like anybody random. And so like we kind of don't know how to come at this crime, you know? And it is like, yeah, fuck, where do we start? Like this is just somebody without a conscience, like stirring up a storm to create confusion to commit one murder.
It's brilliant. I would start with the ex-wife and then kill a bunch of random people after.
Yeah, it does.
Just so you get it
Well,
out of
no,
the way.
but then the first person they look is who would have a grudge.
Right, exactly. That's the deal.
Well, you got to do it quick. You got to get to the next one before the first one's cold.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's true.
and then you got to bury them all in trash. They can't
I mean,
find
no,
it.
start burying yourself in trash.
Yes.
Right.
And then fire a gun through a hole in the trash.
Yeah. Ideally, kill yourself.
You know, the
first.
idea
That's-
is, I think if you bury yourself in trash, it would seem like you'd be like, all right, I'm finally going to start dealing with this stuff. You know, like, 'cause you're like, otherwise I'll die. Like, you know,
there
like,
must be a better way.
you would be like,
I love all this trash.
you know, I really don't want to pay this bill, but it's crushing my lungs.
Yeah, what if he was being crushed and he reached down and he was like, oh, that's a gas bill.
But anyway, I always wanted to share those like stories officially on the show with you guys about the Long Island scumbags.
Brilliant.
Yeah. 24 years old this guy was when he was shooting people.
24.
shit.
Like what the like he?
There's so
And because of
much
the
to do.
stripper.
You got to see him too. He's like a real mullety mustache, white blondie hair, shithead. You're like, you see him and you're like, shithead.
He's probably an Islanders fan.
Yeah, probably.
Probably a hockey fan, period.
We used to call a mullet a hockey hair. That was hockey hair.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I grew up in Buffalo, so it was like right by Canada.
Yeah.
Hockey's pretty big in Canada.
It's kind of a
Yeah,
thing,
You smell all that health care. Just over the border. Drive you crazy.
But
That was great.
Yeah.
fucking
I love those stories, and they were so larger than life when I was a kid. And I remember, it's weird going back and seeing them now, and like there's these tiny miscellaneous cases. But like when I was a kid, these stories were fucking massive. I mean, everybody at the deli's talking about it. Everybody at the bagel store is talking about it. Any other generic Long Island location you can think of, but it's like, people talking like this about it, like the fire department guys are saying they're not going to find that girl. She's probably dead, And it was. I mean, all of like both of them were really. I mean, really like. Like finding the girl alive, it just never happens.
That he was just beaten her, or did he abduct her?
No,
for
he sexually molested
Okay,
her. Yeah, and she was, like kind of wasting away when they found her.
God.
I mean, not really, really, really bad, but
he was not. He
There's
was not
no
taking
good
care
wasting
of her.
away.
No, yeah, but
He wasn't fattening her up,
right, yeah,
which is it's probably better that he wasn't.
So, is that worse? I don't even know. I don't want to. I'm not in a position to decide whether that's worse.
yeah,
Usually you fatten something up before you eat it.
right, yeah.
But they found her, and that's very good.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, now she's married, and like,
God bless her.
Jesus Christ, can you imagine?
I can't imagine coming back from that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and getting a hold of your life again.
Yeah,
That's because you're a weak man,
I know.
John. She's a strong woman.
But also, I mean, she came back from it in a way where she, like, went through her shit.
Yeah, she dealt with it.
And she dealt with not just, the most, like, appalling 17 days you can imagine, but also, like, here's all the nightmare before that.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I thought I had it bad at home.
I thought I had it bad at home, out of the frying pan into the fire, and then finally into, here's a bunch of strangers that will finally be kind to me.
Oh, God.
But there's also... There's something it's easy to forget because it's in the past, but there are all these moments in the future, even if you're in like a bad car wreck.
Yes.
And that's the worst thing that's ever happened to you. There will be a moment in the future where something reminds you of that.
Oh, yeah.
And you gotta
You get triggered.
And you gotta like sit down and
Process.
But if it's something that bad, I mean, I don't know.
How do you move past something that is so instrumental in your life, like, or maybe not instrumental is the word, but impactful.
Yeah.
When things happen to you younger, they carry more weight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And they influence you more. So, yeah, I couldn't imagine. Oh man, just God bless her, man.
Yeah, it was really, really insane because the paranoia aspect takes over, and like you said, it sells papers.
Yeah.
And so everybody, like, the story becomes, don't go to Spaceplex, instead of this poor girl is missing, and there's actually no video footage of her at Spaceplex at all.
Did she ever go?
No.
She never went to Spaceplex.
No. They found footage of him here, like him on his own there, I think, to like kind of like keep up appearances.
I have an alibi.
Yeah, like him looking
Where is
around.
she?
Where I can't find her, But also,
But he took her straight from the house to his.
I think the house was the last destination, and that was it.
I fucking hate that sells paper shit because someone's like, I wasn't gonna buy the Post today. Oh, but they got a story about the missing chick. I guess now I'm going to buy the Post.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it is just like the weird group psychology.
Yeah.
That it
I got to talk about it. I got to know about it. The party.
I mean, but at the end of the day, it is true because it's like, what does this mean about us?
Yeah.
What kind of community do we have here on Long Island, which is supposed to be the escape from the craziness of New York?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Escape from New York.
Yeah, and we're all acting like we're better than all that shit in the city. Every Long Island parent is like, I don't want my kids going to the city. I got out of there. Fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was just like, then here's all this low life shit happening on Long Island too, and it's just like, yeah, you're never really safe.
Lolitas and whatnot.
Right. Amy Fisher and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that another time.
Man, that was
That was another great Long Island case.
Oof,
Yeah.
Marone, man.
Yeah. But I think that's it for tonight. Joe,
Joe,
thank you
thanks
so much for
much,
coming to
man.
Los Angeles.
That was a top-notch profile. I
That
gotta
really
tell
was
ya.
great.
This was excellent.
Thank you.
I really wanted to do this, and it was really cool. I just wanted to sit in, and then I found that magazine.
No, you
I was like,
nailed
oh,
it,
the story's
man.
good.
That is a prototypical profile.
Yes, yes.
Two brothers
Yeah.
in trash, probably sucking each other's cock.
Yeah.
Definitely dying.
Yeah.
You need to write this movie so that
Oh, dude.
Right. Yeah.
I'm taking liberties with that
Right.
script.
And the thing that they love most, garbage kills them.
Ah, beautiful.
God. God.
I
All
love
right,
it.
guys, I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
I am Aaron Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
And I'm Joe Lachut.
Good night, everybody.
Yay!